Bradford City continue their 2025-26 League One campaign with an away clash against Alex Ravel's Stevenage FC. And in today's video, you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this match if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit third in the League One table. After 12 matches, we've got 7 wins, 4 draws and 1 defeat, scoring 22 goals and also conceding 15. That leaves us then on a positive 7 goal difference and 25 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a draw, a win and a win. In terms of them last couple of matches then, we recently had a 2-2 draw at home to Barnsley. Very frustrating result, in all honesty. I feel like we definitely did enough in the match to win the game. Obviously their equaliser, their first equaliser anyway, was a 70-yard wonder goal. Nothing that you can really do about that. That's a 1 in 1,000 chance that he'll end up scoring that one. So disappointing to come away from this game with only a point. It's only the first time all season that we've not picked up maximum points out of Valley Parade, so a little bit frustrating. And again, another day we come away from that game with this 7-3 win. We also had a 5-1 win at home to Everton's under-21s. Again, against these academy Premier League sort of sides, you do expect to be beating them, and pretty comfortably. And despite making 10 changes in this game from our previous league match to that one, we played them off the park and it was a very good result. Great to see Stephen Humphreys get a couple of goals, Callum Kavanagh back amongst the team and back scoring goals as well. We also had a frustrating 2-2 draw away at Rotherham United to be 2-0 down away from home in the second half and be disappointed that you've not won the game, coming away from the match with a point still after equalising quite late on. Goes to show how we played in that game. Defensively, not particularly great going forward. We missed a fair few chances. Will Swan had a couple, Alex Patterson had one as well. On another day, again, this is another pretty comfortable win for us. We need to start being a little bit more clinical with the chances that we are creating. We also had a 1-0 win at home to Blackpool, kind of the opposite of what I've been saying about the last couple of matches. There wasn't really many chances in this game for either side, but Josh Nerful got one early on in the second half and he finished that very well, in all honesty. And that was, I think, Steve Bruce's penultimate game as Blackpool manager, and in the end we managed to get all 3 points. And then just before that one, we had a 4-1 defeat away at Newcastle United. Newcastle United, they played largely their first team apart from the likes of Nick Pope, Dan Burn and Sandro Tonali. Great to see boyhood Newcastle United fan Andy Cook on the score sheet as well, but at the end of the day, what do you really expect? I think a defeat was what that we certainly did expect. Compared though to Stevenage FC, they currently sit second in the League One table. After 11 matches, they've got 8 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats, scoring 17 goals and only conceding 9, which is the least amount in the entire division. But we are the team that have scored the most amount in League One this campaign. It leaves them on a positive 8 goal difference and 25 points. Their last couple of matches then have been a loss, a win and a draw. In terms of them last couple of matches then, on Tuesday they had a 5-2 win at home to Crystal Palace's under-21s. Now obviously we have had the full week's rest to be able to be on the training ground, all that sort of stuff. Stevenage did play midweek, but looking at the goal scorers, it seems like it was a largely rotated Stevenage side. They've scored 12 goals from their 3 EFL trophy matches, so fair play to them. They're taking the competition very seriously and they're scoring a lot of goals in that. It was important for them to bounce back though after their 1-0 defeat away at Lincoln City. Unfortunately, the statistics are not loading for this one, but just their second defeat of the season. Lincoln there obviously in and around it, and I think at home they're going to be a very strong team this campaign. Obviously former Doncaster loanee Rob Street scoring the only goal of the game in the second half. So in terms of league results, Stevenage are going to be wanting to bounce back at home. They've only conceded 1 goal in the league at home as well all campaign, which is certainly very concerning. Before that one, they had a 2-1 win at home to Bromley in the EFL trophy. So recently they have been playing quite a lot of Saturday, Tuesday football, whereas for us that has kind of dried up a little bit, which is obviously very good news. So hopefully we'll be very fresh coming into this one. But again, Stevenage winning a lot of football matches. Before that one, they had a 2-0 win at home to Luton Town. This was, I think, when Bradford City played on the Thursday against Rotherham, so I was obviously keeping a close eye on this game, but Stevenage were very clinical in this one. Luton didn't really create much, and it was, again, another deserved 3 points for Alex Ravel's side. And then finally, before that one, they had a 3-2 win away at Leyton Orient. Lots of goals in this one, very tight sort of match, but over the last couple of years, since Steve Evans really went into Stevenage, they've always seemed to have the number of Leyton Orient, and again, they got another big win in that one. They're a very well-built sort of a club. I think they've recruited very well over the last couple of years, spent a lot of money for the size of their club as well, but Alex Ravel and his team have done a fantastic job this season so far. But you look at Cardiff City, we went away to them, who hadn't conceded from open play all campaign, 1-3-1. There is a real possibility Bradford City could go on and do it again, but we're going to need to be on our A game, be at our best, and hopefully have the odd player back available from injury for this one. Before we do go any further though with today's video, don't forget to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 150 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your starting 11 for this clash and what are your score predictions for this game as well. In terms of my team then for this game, over the next 2 matches, I think you're going to see a little bit of rotation. There's not going to be many players that I think play 90 minutes in both of those fixtures, with us playing Saturday away at Stevenage, then Tuesday at home to Lincoln. That is going to be 2 matches where there is a big physical outload on a lot of these players. So I expect changes across the 2 games, but I feel like having had the week's rest, you're not really going to see many of them in this one away at Stevenage. But personally, I would stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation. I think it's worked very well for us so far this campaign, and I think at times we can lack a little bit of width when we go with an attacking midfielder and 2 strikers rather than the 2 attacking midfielders and 1 striker. But in goal, I would go with Sam Walker. Not his best performance of the season at home to Barnsley, I wouldn't say. Obviously, I was one of the people criticising him a little bit for the first goal that Barnsley do score. Obviously, 70-yard wonder goal, and I think people are not really understanding what my criticism of Sam Walker is, because his positioning, I have absolutely no problems with that whatsoever. It's the manner of once the ball's been hit, him turning his back, trying to catch it rather than just parry it over the crossbar. I think on another day, Sam Walker, you know, if he could go back in time, he probably would have changed how he tried to handle that situation, but it's a split-second decision. He unfortunately got it wrong on that occasion, but still, on the whole, he has had a positive start to this season. Even the second goal, to be fair, that Barnsley score, he does get beat at his near post, but I think, again, we've got to be doing more in the build-up to stop that one coming through. And again, Sam Walker, like I say, on the whole, has had a positive start to this campaign. In terms of my back 3 then, at right centre-back, I would go with Matt Pennington. Obviously, recently missed a couple of matches with the concussion protocol, which has been a big blow. I thought he was meant to be back in training last Monday, but he's only started training again in terms of this week, and he might only be available for Saturday, but I thought he was available for the Barnsley game. So I think we're getting a few contrasting messages coming out of the various media outlets at this moment in time, but hopefully Pennington is back available. He's going to be very important for a game like this. I think you've seen since Neil Burns come into the side, we've started conceding a lot more goals, and I'm not putting it specifically down to him, but the facts are the facts, aren't they? You know, he's come back into the side and we've conceded 2 against Rotherham, 2 against Barnsley. When Pennington's been in there, I can't think of many times this season where we have conceded more than 1 goal, and I think he's been very important for us so far this campaign, so he keeps his place in this side. In the middle of my back 3, I would go with Joe Wright. Again, I don't think he was outstanding on Saturday against Barnsley. I was surprised to see him in the starting 11. In all honesty, I didn't really think it was a game for Joe Wright, but this one certainly is, you know, a big physical sort of battle, and we have seen, you know, the odd time where Joe Wright has made the odd mistake so far this season, but we go back to pre-concussion, which obviously he picked up against Blackburn. Before that, he'd had an outstanding start to the campaign in pre-season as well, really did impress, so hopefully he can get back to those levels and have another really good performance. And finally, completing my back 3, at left centre-back, I would go with Tom McIntyre. So not the tallest of back 3s, but I think in terms of ability, that is your best back 3 that's available at this moment in time. We've obviously Aidan Baldwin being out, with Curtis Tilt being unavailable as well. I think them 3 will certainly be up for the battle if they're available. In terms of my midfield 4 then, at right wing back, I would go with Josh Nerthville. I felt like against Barnsley, had a really good performance and looked very threatening, but his final ball was very frustrating. The amount of times where he was putting crosses into the box and they just weren't beating the first man, and that was something that I've been heavily critical of Tyreek Wright of in the past, and I feel like Nerthville always gets into the right positions, does very well at beating his man, but then it's that final ball. A lot of the times he's trying to go low across the near post, and I feel like sometimes you've got to mix it up, try and clip it into the back post or try and pull it back to the edge of the penalty area. It doesn't always need to be fired in low at the near post, and I feel like against Stevenage, again, his pace on the counter-attack could certainly be very important. In terms of my 2 holding midfielders, firstly I would go with the captain, Max Power. I think you saw the difference in the match against Rotherham and against Barnsley. When he wasn't playing against Rotherham, our midfield was very, very unorganised. Came back in against Barnsley, and I think for the large part we looked a lot more structured, and he obviously did the post-match interview, came across very well in that, and you can certainly see why Max Power is the captain of Bradford City. City despite only signing for the club in the summer. I've been really impressed with him so far, and partnering him I would go with Tommy Lee. Obviously it's been a couple of weeks since Tommy Lee's played well for Bradford City, but again, you're probably looking at that Cardiff match, for example, where obviously he came off at half-time. So it's been quite a while since he's played a full 90 minutes or close to that and played well for it, because I thought against Blackpool and Rotherham looked a little bit tired in those games, was obviously on the bench and only came on. Did Tommy Lee even come on? I don't think Tommy Lee came on against Barnsley, because obviously Jensen Metcalf, where that was more of a game for your technical pressers rather than your physical sort of players. So Tommy Lee certainly comes in for this game, where again it's going to be a physical battle. We need our physicality in that midfield, and I like to see him get another start, hopefully another screamer from the edge of the penalty area. And completing my midfield for left wing back, I would go with Ibu Toure. I thought again very solid against Barnsley. I think he's just consistent, isn't he, Ibu Toure? 7 or 8 out of 10 in most weeks that he does play, whether it's left wing back or left centre half. I think he's done a very good job so far at life with Bradford City, and for me personally, I like to see him keep his place in this side. His experience is going to be important in a game like this. And completing my team then as the front three, firstly as the right attacking midfielder, I would go with Anthony Sarcevic. Obviously got our opener against Barnsley up to 5 goals now for Bradford City this campaign. I think he's certainly improving in League One as the season does go on, as I thought that Sarcevic would do. It's nice to see him, obviously as of right now, not picked up any injuries, which is positive, because I think he has been a very important player for us so far this campaign. And I think again, Stevenage away, this is where you need players like Sarcevic, your experience in that side, to hopefully come up with yet another goal. And as my left attacking midfielder, I would go with Tyreek Wright. Obviously Bobby Poynton is not going to make this game, again struggling with that shoulder injury, and I think we've seen a fair few times this season when Wright has played in that front three, he's looked like a very competent attacking midfielder, and I have been very impressed with him so far this season. Even at left wing back, I think he has done a very solid job as well, so I'd like to see him get another opportunity in that position, and obviously hopefully he can take it, and then we've got some real competition between him and Poynton in that position. And as my striker, I would go with Andy Cook. I've been calling for this for a number of weeks now. We've not quite seen it. Obviously Will Swan's been out of the goals for a couple of weeks. Stephen Humphries was back in amongst the goals as well, but I feel like this is the sort of game where Humphries would get out battled by a Pia Gianni, a Sweeney, a Charlie Good, for example, and you need somebody who's going to be physical and give them it back, and that absolutely is Andy Cook. He's our most physical striker. When you've got players like Tyreek Wright who want to cross the ball in, they can hang it up to the back post. Andy Cook is perfect for this fixture, and it might be a couple of years ago now since the last time we went away to Stevenage, where we won 3-2. I think Andy Cook scored a penalty in that game. I think Jamie Walker scored a late winner, but we've got to remember that a Stevenage fan ran onto the pitch and punched Andy Cook in that game, so Cook's going to be well up for this one to try, and I assume he's going to get stick. He normally gets stick in pretty much every game that we play, so it'd be great to see Andy Cook start and get himself on the score sheet. I thought again he was impactful on off the bench against Barnsley. How much longer are we going to have to wait to see Andy Cook start a football match for Bradford City? He deserves this opportunity now. On the bench then for me, that would leave Joe Hilton, Brad Halliday, Kieran Kelly, Jensen Metcalf, Stephen Humphries, Callum Kavanagh and Will Swan. Obviously you've got 3 strikers on the bench there, but I think all of them bring something different and could be useful in a game like this. The players currently unavailable are Aidan Baldwin, who should hopefully be back around the Doncaster game in at the EFL Trophy. Curtis Tilller's obviously still going to be another couple of months. Alex Patterson is a big doubt for this game, and I feel like with the way that he plays, very much pressing the possession side, we don't necessarily need to force him to be available when we've got such good midfield options. Nick Powell is obviously going to be out until the new year with that hamstring injury, and Bobby Poynton as well won't make this one, probably won't make Tuesday either, which is a big blow. So the players miss out then through selection will be Zach Hady, Neil Byrne, Lewis Richards and George Lapsey, but there's an argument that 3 of those 4 might start in the following match on Tuesday, so it's not necessarily about if you're out of the squad in this game, you could easily be starting on Tuesday. So all of these players do need to be available for us, and it's obviously going to be an incredibly tough game. I think I'd be relatively pleased with a point as long as we beat Lincoln on Tuesday. We've got a pretty tough couple of matches when you go back to the Barnsley game, to have Barnsley, then Stevenage, then Lincoln, where they are in the table. If you come away from that with 5 points, I think that's a pretty decent return. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes as I mentioned at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What is your score prediction for this match? What would your starting 11 be as well? Would you agree or disagree with the team that I have suggested? Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.